I feel like a broken record. Been saying for I think 3 videos now, 2 months about getting the front mounts, or the motor mounts built and fabricated. But today is the day. You'll see the front mounts, potentially the rear mounts, all fabricated and installed. Stay tuned. So today we're turning all this material and tools into front motor mounts, subframe mounts for the Tesla drivetrain into the Pierce frame. So you can see I did the plating already, stitch welded it in. I'll weld that complete once I get the chassis, the body off the chassis. And do all the sandblasting and when I do the coating and everything. But we're going to be connecting here to there. Should be pretty straightforward, but since I don't have a tubing notcher, it's probably going to be a lot of manual work. So I will show you the process I take to get this all done. Hopefully I can get that cradle out today, and the motor will be held in, at least by the front mounts, and then I'll build the rear mounts, start putting a plan together maybe this week or maybe tomorrow. But I'm going to get the Packard out tomorrow. As you can see, it's a beautiful day out there. The kids want to ride to it to school for the last week of school, and so I'm going to be getting that out. Maybe I'll show that later in the video, getting that cleaned up and ready for the season. Okay, well, I got the both front mounts done. They're not bolted in yet, but you can see there's capsulated bolts down in there. Go ahead and judge on my welds. They will hold. This side's a little bit better than the other side as far as looks, but I didn't bevel these on this side, so there's a little bit more buildup around, like back in here. You see this side, I actually beveled these pieces, so I was able to get more penetration into the corner. I added these side pieces, this tubing. Probably don't need it, but figured it's strong. So that's not bolted down anymore. We will, I think I'm going to try to pull this cradle out right now and see what happens. I have to have the cradle out to build the rear mounts because there's just not enough room down there to do that. That's why I put these straps in here, welded them in. So I'm going to pull this whole thing out and see what happens. See if I don't hurt myself. Yesterday I caught my finger with the bandsaw. Probably should have stitches, but you know, didn't have time for that. So Anyway, we'll pull this cradle out and I'll show you what happens. Okay, we got both mounts welded fully on top, and we have a tack on the bottom. They're bolted in. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. Now we'll go under the bottom and I will show you what that looks like. Pardon the camera work while I get down here. So those are the rear mounts, and they have to go up. I think I'm gonna mount them straight up to that factory piece, put an access hole in there. Probably similar to the way it is up front, with a tube, an encapsulated nut. And then maybe I'll add a gusset, depending on how strong it ends up being. There's the rear shocks, or the airbags. You can see I put spacers in there, temporary spacers anyway. So we're getting there. No cradle. It's suspended on its own. Obviously, I have some jack stands back here, but so now I'm gonna go get the Packard, because like I said before, it's really nice out there, and we'll drive that home and show you what I'm doing with that. Well, I got the Packard home, about a 15-mile drive, a maiden voyage this year. Beautiful day to do that. Doing some small maintenance on it that I put off last year. I'll show you what I'm doing. It's hard to see, but down here there's what they call a Bendix treadle vac master cylinder brake booster combo. It's underneath the steering column here. I had that rebuilt, and when you have them rebuilt, you have to use silicone brake fluid. Well, silicone brake fluid and the original brake switch don't mix well. So the original brake strip broke or failed, which is a 3-pin brake switch. The reason for the 3-pin is because of the electronic suspension on this car, which you can see some wiring over here for that. So essentially what I did is bypass the suspension. The suspension's been off since late last year. So what I'm doing now is I'm rewiring this for a 2-pin brake light switch, which is a common one, putting a relay in place to then work the electronic suspension. So, back, like I mentioned in my first video back in '56, they were trying to do anything they could to save the company. And they have electronic suspension, and then we also have, actually that bottom box here is for the electronic shifting, which is also I think 2-year model only. So we'll get that fixed today. What I'm going to be doing, I clean these bolts too much, so I'm actually going to be taking these bolts out, cleaning them up, putting them in some linseed oil, so they don't rust anymore. Some of them I did well. Some of them need to be done. So we taking these off probably this week, soaking them. There's some back here that I got to do. You can see, like, I cleaned everything almost too thoroughly when I redid the engine compartment. So need to be some rust inhibitor here. So anyway, just wanted to give you a sort of a update on other projects I'm up to.